listening to Your Brain on Air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
U luistert naar Your Brain on Air. Het programma begint zo meteen. Veel luisterplezier.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. God damn, that was a rough voice crack. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. Did you hear that shit? Good afternoon. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to edit that out. That was a real take. Gilead, Pan Am, Oceania, whatever dystopia we get, I at least hope that Soma is a part of this brave new world that we're making. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that weed is probably the closest we've gotten so far. Admittedly, salvia, that shit just blows you into it. Like, it just... And you're sent into, like, the intro for Space Ghost Coast to Coast. You know that intro where it's like... And then it's like, and then he flies through space and shit. And then it's like, you're watching Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. And then it's the camera's point of view. You fly through this office area that's on this meteorite kind of thing. And it's supposed to be their television headquarters. I used to watch this show a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my favorites. And then Zorak, he was the guy who was playing the piano and shit like that. And then, okay, I gotta stop being nostalgic. Anyway, so this is the vibe that we're setting for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, it's salvia trips being compared to the intro to Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It's probably the most accurate conception. I wouldn't recommend salvia. It's not it's not something that I would say take recreationally or even try once. It's not something that I would recommend. Try kratom. I'm just kidding. People have gotten addicted to that. Why am I getting into recommendations this early on? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. The tone is so off. The tone is so weird, but I kind of like it. Like, admittedly, it's kind of fun. It's different for a Tuesday. Whatever. Let's chop it up with something a little more calm. The memories as they come. I love Zooey Deschanel. Who else loves New Girl? I watched a few episodes of, I think, seasons 1 through 5, and then I dropped off, because once again, I think my fiance has the best take on this, is that it's just like back and forth weirdos. I miss the old Kanye, straight from the go Kanye, chop up the soul Kanye, set on his goals Kanye, I hate the new Kanye, bad mood Kanye, the always rude Kanye, spaz in the news Kanye, I miss the sweet Kanye, chop up the beats Kanye, I gotta say, at the time I'd like to meet Kanye, then Kanye, it wasn't any Kanyes, now I look around and there's so many Kanyes. I used to love Kanye, ladies and gentlemen. I still do. I don't even care if people are bopping his song and they don't like it. I understand. People have issues with white supremacism. So do I. You know what I mean? Nick Fuentes, he has some opinions that I find disagreeable. But the songs that he chooses to play in Miami nightclubs, I can't disagree. The new Kanye song is admittedly a fun one. It's a nice one to bop. And I know people, they're going to have their takes on it. It's whatever. Listen, it's a good song. And if you don't like it, leave the bar for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's all I have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode isn't even about the Miami situation with Sneeko and all that sort of stuff. We don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about the relentless amount of backlash that the White House is facing. But we'll get into that. That's our first story. Fuck it. I'm just going to play the intro music for the first story. Let's go. Trump is facing bipartisan political backlash over the White House's response to the deadly shooting. Chaos is erupting outside a Minnesota hotel. Suspected of housing ICE agents, 26 people have been arrested. Listen, shit is boiling over. You know when your mom said to watch the pot, and you decided, all right, yeah, I'll check it because, ramen is for tonight, because mom's tired and whatnot. So the best thing that we have, and admittedly, we haven't gone to the grocery store in a while. So like the best thing we have is the $1 ramen right now. So mom told you, hey, watch the pot. It's going to boil over if you don't watch it. So you went ahead and you played Mario on the DS for too long. And then you went over into the kitchen and the bubbles have formulated over the top, guys. Like, it's too late. Your mom's going to be pissed and you got to restart the pot. You probably are going to have to scrub the top because, listen, there's salt in that water. There's salt in that water and it's going to fucking rust. It's going to rust that shit because it's not an electric stove. You think we're rich here, guys? We don't got an electric stove here. It's a gas stove. We're dealing with a gas stove. It's boiling over. Mom is mad. Like, you're getting a wooden spoon. I'm sorry to say it. It's too late. President Trump is facing a rare wave of bipartisan backlash following the White House's response to the deadly Minneapolis shooting involving federal agents, not ICE, interestingly enough this time, Border Patrol. The administration initially used a lot of sharp rhetoric, as you might be aware of, to defend the incident. Some officials labeled the deceased person an assassin. Interestingly enough, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are now demanding a transparent investigation. I mean, is there any reason to be going down to the cities right now?
Yeah, they said they were going to the Twin Cities.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, that helps a lot. The tension, guys, it's not just in Washington. Chaos is erupting outside of Maple Grove Hotel. Protesters are believing federal agents were being housed there. It began with a noise demonstration. It quickly escalated, not quietly, excuse me. A noise demonstration is literally where they just honk horns, they blow air horns, all that sort of stuff. It quickly escalated as police and demonstrators clashed, leading to an unlawful assembly declaration. Authorities report that the property was damaged and objects were thrown at officers, marking a sharp peak in the local resistance against the federal presence in the Twin Cities. Guys, we have footage of it because obviously we do. I don't know that anyone is going to be getting. I will leave this clip in the description so that you can watch it for yourself. But to me, it's very evident that shit just got out of hand. You know what? Okay, these guys, admittedly, you got to give Border Patrol one thing. ICE, they tackle the people and they have like 7 guys on them. Border Patrol, they have like 2 guys tackling the person, and then the other 5 or so are walking around trying to like establish a zone around them to make sure that they can create the arrest. Listen, I love it. I think that the level of proper, police work at hand here that you can see in this video, it's actually, I'm just gonna say it. I think Border Patrol is 100% in the right here. I might regret that pretty quick. Damn. Yeah, these are demonstrators that clearly, at least from what I can see, listen, I'm absolutely protest, record people, do what you need to do. Don't throw cans. You're gonna I'm sorry. You're gonna make the protesters look bad. I'm sorry. I can't support you if you make protesters look bad. That's just not what I do. I don't doubt that you're all citizens, but listen, everybody goes, they don't have the authority to arrest a citizen. Yes. Kind of like how a police officer, you don't have the right to arrest a citizen. Technically, no, but if you committed a crime, they do. They're instituted by the federal government. They have the authority as delegated by the Department of Homeland Security. Sorry, but you do have to respect their authority. You got to do it. Holy shit, she busted her lip. Damn. They got Justin Bieber on the ground. This is horrific. Let him go. We're supposed to be making an album together next week. Let him go. So yeah, the hotel standoff. 26 individuals were taken into custody. Man, if you needed any more evidence that there's a deep divide in this country, I mean, the real Oracle came out, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, we have the Oracle. We have the Baron of Truth, Jimmy Kimmel, who is here to delegate to us the one true opinion. Hello, Jimmy. Stop cheering. I'm going to skip you.
Went on the air 23 years ago tonight. You weren't with us yet, Guillermo.
No, I was in the parking lot.
I love Guillermo. He's that fun little nugget.
We still make love to celebrate tonight.
The same, yeah, let's do it.
It was a very different time back then.
He's so cute.
Years ago. It was better. It was a better time.
23 years ago was a better time? Hold on a minute. You're saying that 2003 was a better time. I mean, admittedly, I was not born yet at this exact moment. I would be born in a few months, but I don't know, maybe it was better. The surveillance state certainly didn't exist to the degree that it did, and we didn't, we didn't have the towers. But, you know, America was still united around the idea that we needed to fuck up towel heads. That's their words, not mine.
Like probably a lot of you did, looking at my phone and just feeling shocked and sick about what is happening in Minneapolis. These one video after another, screaming people being torn from their families, Americans, people who were born in the United States being pulled out of their cars for the crime of having an accent or whatever, children, small children, babies being tear gassed, taken into custody.
Ladies and gentlemen, ICE they're beating up babies. It's true. It's you know, Jimmy Kimmel said it. It must be true. ICE is beating up babies. They're like literally, if you have a child in a stroller, the ICE might walk up to you and just drop kick the entire thing.
Their parents, just one atrocity after another being committed.
Atrocities.
By this gang of poorly trained, shamefully led, mask-wearing goons, and that is what they are. They're goons committing vile, heartless, and even criminal acts. And it's
I don't think he knows what goon means anymore.
Sickening to watch, and it's frustrating to watch. It's like we're all being forced to play a game that has no rules. They just make up the rules as they go along. We see these videos in which we clearly see one of our fellow Americans executed by ICE, and they won't even admit that it was a mistake. They say that the Honda
Absolutely,
SUV
they
Renee
should.
Good was driving was weaponized. They say the gun Alex Preddy had a license to carry in an open carry state. All right, many of these same people screamed very loudly about when it was Kyle Rittenhouse carrying the gun. A gun that...
Don't steal my point, Jimmy. I made that point yesterday. I made that point. This video came out 10 hours ago. My video came out around 23 hours ago. I said it first.
Preddy did not even draw, did not touch a gun that was taken from him by one of the agents before he was shot dead by the other ones. They fired 10 times on an ICU nurse. They're telling us, well, it was justified, you know? Is that the law and order that you voted for, if you voted for this? Every day is a nightmare now. My wife and I have family in Minneapolis. They're afraid to take their kids to school. They're afraid to go to work. And I can only imagine how people...
Are they illegal? I'm curious why they, in particular, the Kimmel family... Not the most diverse name that I've heard in my life, you know what I mean? I understand if you're afraid of the social unrest, but admittedly, the Kimmel family, you're going to be all right, all right? I'm just going to let you know.
White feel about this. How does this end? What's the plan here? Is the plan to just keep doing this in every city that didn't vote for Donald Trump? Does anyone on any side believe this is good leadership? We keep saying we need to find subjects that we can agree on. Can we agree that peaceful protesters, including moms driving SUVs on their way back after dropping their 6-year-olds off?
And that's where he loses me. She didn't need to involve herself for 3 minutes to block up traffic, and I'm sorry, it's at the officer's discretion by the point when you tap them with your car. It's unfortunate that it happened, but she involved herself, and she didn't, she didn't really think about the consequences. She should have been at home with her kid, admittedly. She should, because she had that baby. Everybody wants to feel so bad about her baby. Her baby's dead, and what? No, not dead, but the baby's mom's dead, and it's never gonna see the mom again. It's really unfortunate. Maybe if she was busy raising the kid and not fucking getting involved with local politics and getting nutty in the sense, like, not getting involved in local politics by holding elections or, like, getting the community registered to vote. She was interacting with politics by obstructing federal officers and impeding their investigation. Maybe not trying to attack them, but obviously just, getting in their way. Can we at least agree on that, Jimmy?
Off at school, and a nurse who stepped in to protect a woman from harm don't deserve to be shot dead in the street by the people.
I would agree that they don't deserve to be shot dead. It's unfortunate that the Renee Good situation happened. I will 100% condemn the second shooting because that one obviously was ridiculous. The Renee Good one, it's arguable. And it's ridiculous that people are trying to lump the two together when they're very obviously two very different situations. It's weird that I'm condemning Border Patrol's actions in this instant, but ICE's actions in that one case were arguably more defendable than Border Patrol's. Isn't that a little weird? That's a little strange.
People we are paying to protect us. Can we agree on that? I mean, Can we agree that when we see a person murdered in cold blood, that there should at least be an investigation of that?
Well,
And
yeah.
Our ironically titled head of Homeland Security has the responsibility to get facts before telling us that what we saw we did not see. I mean, if we can't agree on that, forget it then. This one seems pretty open and shut to me. I think we can agree on this one. It's on video. Look at it. Do your own research. And then once you do, once you form your own opinion without being told what you saw, say something. Where are the reasonable voices on the right? I mean, we don't have to agree on everything, but come on. If that was a group of trans swimmers shooting a guy for making a cell phone video, you'd be heating up the electric chairs right now. Admit it, you would. Let's cut the bullshit already, because it may be Fox, but it ain't news.
Agents reasonably thought that they were in danger because a gun was produced. If he's armed and they knew he was armed...
Produced?
It was imperative for them to take him down.
And now here, literally a guy pulls a gun on an ICE officer. He defends himself.
When you're seeing a gun in your face and you're in the scuffle, then you have to, again, assume that is a gun.
And you could tell in that moment that they saw something or something spooked
Nut.
them, because they all back off all of a sudden, and then you hear shots fired.
You've got an armed individual, somebody holding a gun up to Border Patrol. Of course you
This
are
is
going
not
to see
true.
reaction.
Do you think these are all just local Minneapolis folks who have decided to go out on a sub-zero day?
Only one person could have prevented this from happening, and it's Alex Preddy.
What he did put agents in a situation where they had to use deadly force.
These officers very well could have prevented a major mass shooting of multiple officers today.
Oh, please. If that was ISIS instead of ICE, we'd be firing missiles at somebody and pledging allegiance to the flag altogether right now.
Why does
Watch
Jimmy
that.
always do that? He always does these weird things where he says, if so-and-so was doing that, you'd be mad. If so-and-so was doing this, we'd be mad. It doesn't... they're all hypotheticals, and a lot of them are kind of ridiculous situations that are not remotely realistic to any extent, so you can't actually sympathize with the imaginary version of yourself. So I don't know. I know he's a comedian, but it's I kind of miss the Man Show, when he would make women kiss and when they didn't want to and stuff, when he'd be like, what's better, tits or ass? I miss that era of Jimmy Kimmel. Does everybody else remember that? Remember when he did blackface and he was like, man, I love that me some good chicken and watermelon when I play me that basketball, and everybody for some reason memory holds it. I love you, Jimmy Kimmel.
Video, watch every angle, as upsetting as it might be, and decide for yourself if that's making America great. And if it isn't, please say something about it. This has to stop. And I'm convinced now that the only people who can stop it are on the right. I know it takes a lot of courage to go against your tribe or whatever it is, but that's what we need. We need some decent people.
Says the one who is still going, the Renee Good case was a case of an innocent lady who was driving down the street and got shot in the face. Knock it off. Knock it off. If you really want people on the right to be realistic, you're gonna have to be realistic yourself. I'm sorry. It's just true. It's just true.
On the right to show some courage and some common sense.
They should.
And our leaders aren't even
And so
trying
should
to
you.
reduce the amount of chaos in the street rather than exacerbating it. If our leaders are intentionally creating and encouraging violence and fear, then I hope you will also agree we need new leaders, because these are not leaders.
And this is only going to hurt. This is only going to hurt the right in the midterms, which are heating up. They're getting closer and closer as every day is getting. Isn't it nutty that we're already almost done with January of 2026? I mean, that's just wild to me.
Overnight, more protests in Minneapolis ahead of a change in leadership in immigration operations in the city.
Yes, Gregory Bovino's out.
Gathering outside the hotel while protesters believe Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Gregory Bovino has been staying. For weeks, Bovino has overseen the surge of immigration enforcement in Minneapolis. Sources now tell ABC News he'll be leaving the city as soon as today, with many Border Patrol agents leaving with him. Border Czar Tom Homan will take over instead. As the Department of Homeland Security investigates the killing of Alex Preddy, they now say they're reviewing body camera footage from agents on the scene, which captured the shooting from multiple angles. So did several graphic videos taken by eyewitnesses.
They have just shot a man.
shot that guy.
By 8:56 Saturday.
I don't know how that... Did you hear that guy in the background? They shot that guy! How was she more masculine with her voice than he was? They shot that man! She sounds so just powerful with it, and he goes, ah!
At least 8 federal officers had arrived on scene for what...
He's just shaking. He's just shaking because he's gonna get shot next.
Holding his phone, seemingly recording federal agents making an arrest. Situation escalates. Officers shoving multiple people, both of Preddy's hands visible, one holding his phone, the other hand held up, appearing to try to shield himself from the pepper spray, and a group of officers taken down. At 9:01, this federal officer reaches near Preddy's waistband and pulls a gun that Preddy had a permit to carry, and then 10 shots fired in 5 seconds. Eyewitnesses horrified.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this.
Just hours later, Commander Bovino accused Alex Preddy of wanting to massacre law enforcement. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem accused Preddy of domestic terrorism, and White House advisor Stephen Miller cast Preddy as a domestic terrorist and an assassin. The White House refused to condemn Noem and Miller's false statements.
Loonies.
Now there has been a shift in communication between the president and Minnesota's Democratic leaders. Trump said he, quote, seemed to be on a similar wavelength on a call with Governor Tim Walz about working together. Walz said the president agreed to consider reducing the number of federal agents in the state. And Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey says in a call, the president agreed that the present situation cannot continue. Alex Preddy's family continues to defend their son, saying he protested because he cared about his community.
What's funny is that the photo that a lot of, I saw this on NBC and I saw this on other news outlets. Sorry, it's not MSNBC anymore. It's MS News, MS Now or whatever, anything. I don't know. It sounds like they're saying multiple sclerosis now, and so I don't watch it. But they used a AI-edited photo of Alex Preddy. They were like, oh, he's too ugly and too Jewish, so make his nose tiny or pin his ears back and shave up that Ari Shaffir beard that he has. And then they shared that photo instead. Sorry, but it's true. I think that they were just like, oh, man, this guy looks like an anti-Semitic drawing from World War II.
He cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States with ICE, as millions of other people are upset.
Thousands continue to visit his memorial at the shooting site, devastated and angry. Zach Hall paying respects in sub-zero temperatures.
Overwhelming anger, sorrow, grief, and just the feeling that I'm not doing more, and just overwhelmed with emotion.
And the White House says Commander Bovino will return to his base in California. Meantime, overnight, Alex Preddy's sister Michaela released a statement to the AP. She said, in part, hearing disgusting lies spread about my brother is absolutely gut-wrenching. George?
Trevor, you've been there for several days now. We just saw you talk to that resident talking about anger and grief. What's your overall sense of how the population is reacting to what they're seeing?
They're not burning down targets yet, thankfully enough. You know what I mean? They've managed to keep a lid. They've managed to keep... excuse me, I was talking. They managed to keep a lid on all that sort of stuff. I'm happy. Let's keep it calm. Let's have fun sitting on lawns and, letting law enforcement know that we want some level of change but let's keep the mandatory distance that I set, 30 feet, ladies and gentlemen, 30 feet for your safety.
Within his own party over how this immigration crackdown is being handled. Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Tonight, President Trump facing a rare and growing backlash from members of his own party. Some big-name Republicans, including the governor of Texas, now urging him to, quote, recalibrate his immigration crackdown. Others denouncing the administration's rush to judgment after federal officers killed Alex Preddy.
He was there to perpetuate violence.
Even as the
you are there to perpetuate lies.
Killing, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem quick to accuse him of domestic terrorism. The president labeling him a gunman. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller calling Preddy an assassin, a comment reposted by Vice President J.D. Vance. But tonight, the conservative editorial board of the Wall Street Journal writing bluntly, the Trump administration's spin on this simply isn't believable. The conservative New York Post writing, Mr. President, the American people didn't vote for these scenes, and you can't continue to order them to not believe their lying eyes.
If the New York Post is speaking out, man, that's a sign.
Ted Cruz saying the administration's tone should be more measured.
Immediately when an incident like this happens, they come out, guns blazing, that we took out a violent terrorist, hooray. Escalating the rhetoric doesn't help, and it actually loses credibility.
Today, I asked the White House. Secretary Noem said Alex Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism. Stephen Miller labeled Preddy a domestic terrorist. Does the president agree with them?
Look, as I've said, I have not heard the president characterize Mr. Preddy in that way. However, I have heard...
She's the white Kareem Jean-Pierre. She's the white version of the lying black lady from the Biden administration, and I love her. I love her so much because I love her big sweaters that have like little buttons on the side for no reason. I love, what is this? Is this Press Secretary Barbie? I think so.
Heard the president say he wants to let the facts in the investigation lead itself.
Tonight, at least 29 Republican members of Congress demanding a full investigation. And conservative Texas Governor Greg Abbott says it's time for the White House to recalibrate their immigration enforcement tactics.
As we know, Greg Abbott will not sit for this.
Go about their job in a
Get it? Because he's crippled?
more structured way to make sure that they are going to be able to remove these people without causing all the kinds of problems and fighting in communities that they are experiencing right now.
David, it's clear the White House is trying to change its tone tonight. The president speaking today with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Also, late today, speaking with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. But when asked about Secretary Kristi Noem, who said Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism, the press secretary said Noem has the, quote, utmost trust and confidence of the president. David.
I'm sure she does. We love Kristi Noem. We love the governor of South Dakota. You know, she represents a truly nothing state. You call Fargo, North Dakota. You call North Dakota in general a nothing state. South Dakota has less than nothing. They have the hills where General Custer found gold, and then we carved our leaders' faces into the side of a mountain. That's the most that state has to offer. Deadwood is a stupid historical site. No one should go there. It's a kind of a waste of time. But no one wants to admit it because the Old West fascinates a lot of dads, and they want to bore their families. Yeah, we're going to continue to follow it as it continues, as you all know. It's one of my favorite, favorite in the sense where I love to cover my home state. I love the fact that we've gotten a lot of press coverage as of late, but damn, I wish it could be more. I wish it could be for like fun scandals, like I wish Governor Walz would cheat on his wife or something. I wish that Jacob Fry would come out as gay. Finally, about time. I'm sorry. I saw him at the Gay 90s the one time I was down there. You know what I mean? It's like I think I shared a cigarette with him. I'm 90% sure. Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hop into the next story. Friends are beginning to join forces to buy homes together in response to the modern housing market. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't cry when reading this headline, you are not human. Forget just sharing a kitchen, and a chore chart. Have you ever been forced to live with somebody and you have a chart where you each do chores for the house? Fuck that. People aren't doing that anymore. Friends are now taking the ultimate leap of faith together. It's like they're lovers now and they're buying property together. Listen, with my limited, and I mean limited in the sense where I don't have a degree to sell homes. I don't have a real estate license, whatever. I just know some terms around it. I've watched some shows around it, whatever. You buying a property with somebody that you are either not business-wise connected to, you know what I mean? So that there's contracts to hold you two together, or marriage, like you're planning to build a life together, I sound like from Alabama, a life together. You should not buy property together, and this is why. Friendships, listen, you might say they last forever. More often than not, they don't, especially when you begin to involve actual concrete assets. Because, listen, I love Ramsey's line on this. Dave Ramsey, he's this idiot bald guy. He's not an idiot, but he yells at people who are idiots with their money, and he's made a career of doing that. So I generally don't think... I don't think that his advice is revolutionary most of the time. I don't think that it's very insightful. I think it's just, stop buying DoorDash. Stop buying DoorDash and quit using Klarna and get your debt in order. That's the majority of his advice. And I like it a little bit, but the most that I know about housing and whatnot is that it's slave and lender. The moment you and your friend, or they have a business, you have some sort of, you lend your friend some money, you are slave and lender. Your relationship changes once you have money involved in your kind of leveraging whatever. It changes the dynamics of your friendship. I'm sorry. I'm watching these news stories that they're covering these girls. They're like besties that are like 20-year-olds, and they're like, let's buy a home together. I was talking. God damn it. This woman's name is Cammie Moody, and she's got a bestie. They drink matcha together. They drink lattes, and they said, let's go. Close on our house, and then this is it.
If you know me and my roommate, you probably know that we are buying a house together. We
This morning, it's the latest hack for younger Americans trying to get a foothold in an unaffordable housing market.
My dad definitely was raising his eyebrow, like, is that a good idea?
Well, yeah. Well, yes, because your father belongs to the Breakfast Club generation, and they were sold the dream of home ownership that their parents were and whatnot. And listen, they look at you and they think, oh my God, you're insane, because the most you should ever do with your friends is rent, because that's the most that you can ever handle. Most of the time, you'll after living with somebody, you'll realize, fuck, a lot of people are deadbeats most of the time, and they're not gonna. If you do some arrangement where it's like, oh, I'll cover your half this time, but make sure next time that you got it in order, they're not going to. That's what friends are. That's what 20-year-olds are. I'm sorry, but it's true. And a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of people don't realize that their friends who they go to the movies with and, they've known each other since high school, whatever, they understand each other pretty well. They do not understand what it's like to live with somebody. I'm sorry. People change when you live with them. That's just a fact. You don't understand the 360 of someone's personality until you're forced to share a kitchen.
Like Jacqueline Cusimano and Cameron Moody in Florida choosing to buy a house together instead of continuing to rent as roommates.
What kind of reaction do you get from friends or other people, especially younger people, when you tell them you bought a house together?
People are like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. And then other people are like, are you sure?
This fall, the 24-year-olds closed on a 4-bedroom, 1,700 square foot home about an hour outside of Palm Beach.
That's why. That's why. Okay. I was gonna say, you got two pretty girls, you got, they clearly have lip filler, sorry, they're white, but, so, I see these mayonnaise monkeys, and I go, oh, yeah, you clearly don't have lips that big that are natural. Well, they're from Florida, so maybe they do, maybe they got, like, a Cuban dad or something like that, but you can clearly tell that one of them is, like, of Irish descent or whatever, like, she's got these blonde, like, this blonde hair and whatnot, not Irish, maybe I shouldn't say Irish, she looks Welsh, that's a better way to put it, and there you got this one girl who looks like she might be a mix of something, and you're like, oh, I get it now. You're OnlyFansers. You got a content house. I get it now.
That were just 1 bedroom, and they're as expensive as our mortgage.
Jacqueline, who's a realtor, and Cameron, who also worked in real estate, used their savings and bonuses from their jobs for the down payment and closing costs.
We split everything half.
The National Association of Realtors says the typical age of first-time homebuyers in the U.S. is now 40 years old. The
Soon it'll be 80.
Highest on record.
Gen Z is looking younger. They are super ambitious.
Did you just say Gen Z is looking younger? We're getting older by the day. Half of us have Dustin Hoffman fucking lines around our noses.
And super focused, and they understand that things are unaffordable.
Co-buying a home with friends is a trend real estate agent Trisha Lee from the series Owning Manhattan says is becoming more common as young Americans look for ways to overcome high prices.
So you figured out the equity builds, and it actually makes what's unattainable attainable.
She says this
equity for who? Because eventually you're going to have to leave. You're going to leave the property. Who does that equity go to? Is it transitioned between both homeowners? You're going to share this equity with somebody? Or is it going to be mainly entitled to one individual? What is your plan here? And especially these girls, they're doing 3 friends that bought a home together.
Doesn't want to wait to get married to get the benefits of owning a property and generating wealth. An idea that hit home with Jacqueline and Cameron.
How are your husbands going to feel about this? Or wives? I will not judge.
It felt very like
rewarding to be able to be like a single woman and just being able to own something for yourself and to do it with my best friend.
My best friend.
So we asked Jacqueline and Cameron what their plan is if one of them wants to move out. They said that they did have that conversation before closing on the house. They decided they could just rent out the property for additional income that they would then split evenly, Michael.
All right, and
Michael.
we hear about that and it seems great, but there had to be risks. What are the risks of buying a house together?
It's your friend, and you do not like your friends. I'm sorry. You kind of do. You like your friends enough. You like your friends when you have the limited petri dish, that's what I like to call it, experiences, where it's very controlled. It's within a very limited portion that you decide where you want to put it. You can put it on the countertop, you can put it in a bar, you can put it at your house, you can do whatever you want. You're in control. A lot of people, they don't want to take that petri dish and ingest the infection, which means living with it for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Living with it for an extended period of time. That is when the infection festers in you. No one likes that. No, everybody, listen, your friend, I know it sounds rude to compare your friend to a disease or a bacteria, but that's unfortunately what a lot of people are. They are disease. They are people who will eat your chobani without asking you. They're people who will use your instant coffee even though it's yours, and they don't even drink coffee half the time. They just wanted to make their hot cocoa a little more interesting. It has a different flavor or something. They just have the dumbest shit to say. One of them cleans the walls with lemon, and it ends up making the end up making the eggshell paint even whiter in one splotch. So it's like, well, god damn it, they're gonna know that we were smoking in this room, and now we're not gonna get our deposit back. So listen. You can have your friends, you can orient with your friends, you can do whatever you want. Once you live with them, you're going to realize you want to kill them. I'm sorry, you want to murder your friends.
This is a serious financial commitment, and Realtor Tricia Lee told us a verbal agreement between people co-buying a house really is not enough.
No.
She says it's important to have a written legal document before you make the purchase outlining who's going to live in the property, how equity will be divided, what happens if someone needs to move out because of a new job or a new relationship. And she says it's critical to have that conversation about how long you plan to live together before you even start looking at homes, to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So something to think about, Michael, if you and Sam are really going to go in on it.
These girls are going to be Barb and Star. Does anybody know Barb and Star? Barb and Star is a movie that I'm going to take a moment to introduce people to. Barb and Star is, I believe they were characters on SNL, but there is a movie called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. And it is a movie that came out, I believe it was on Amazon or something? It might have had a theatrical debut. But it has Kristen Wiig, which is how you're supposed to pronounce it, according to the Norwegian whatever. But I understand people will go, oh, you're being a douche. It's Kristen Wiig, whatever. And Annie Mumolo? It's Mumolo, I think. Annie Mumolo. They're best friends. They own a home together. They are just, they go on a vacation. They go to Vista Del Mar, and they wear culottes. They are just delightful women. I don't know where they're from, in all honesty, because their accents are so peculiar.
Oh, I was just playing with this lamp. Oh.
I'm Star.
Short for Starbra.
Assuming yours is Barbara.
Nope, just Barb.
Barb.
No, Barb.
Starbra.
Barb and Star. We're hosting tonight's Talking Club, and we're making their hot dog soup. I like the salt.
I like the hot dog.
It's not as runny as it usually is.
Ew.
When is she trying?
Oh, she gives me bigger teeth. No,
They just-
teeth. She loves big teeth. Even if it's just two eyes on a bunch of teeth.
It's a delightful little romp.
I love it! It's like I'm listening to the ocean. Wait, we don't have cell phones. I know I'm going to take it home and glue it to our landline.
Apparently they don't have cell phones.
I'm Barb, and this is Star.
What number again, please, sir? 611.
6'11"? Oh my, Barb. Oh my God, she's 6'11". 6'11"? We're in 124.
Yeah. Watch it if you have the time. It came out 2021. Holy man. Time's flying faster than I thought it would. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that movie, I'd recommend you watch it because it's actually a warning. It's a warning to you as men and women that you will end up like these women. You will end up alone, living with your best friend, with no relationships, beyond that, hanging out in your 2-bed, your little twin beds, you look like a married couple where you share a bedroom and whatnot, and you're like, oh gosh, I just can't sleep, and then you just hang out and you go on vacations with your best friend. They think that you're gay, they think you're lesbians, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're also just living your best life. But a lot of people, they will think of you as bizarre, and eventually, if you have one fight, it's all over. I'm sorry to say it. Your friend will they will sell it out from under you. Eventually, at a certain age, in their 70s, 80s, they're like, I only have 10 years or so left. Why don't I just fuck over my friend and go live on a yacht for a few years? Or a cigarette boat, because in all honesty, a lot of people, they're going to end up in a canoe. You know what I mean? A lot of us are not going to end up in a yacht by the end of our lives, but whatever. We'll cover one more thing from CBS News, and we'll jump into the rapid fire section.
In our Money Watch housing guide, we are asking, how far would you go to become a first-time homeowner? Would you, for example, go so far as to buy a new home with a friend and then live in it together?
No.
I'm all here for this. I think this works. Nancy Chen, she's been investigating. She's going to...
No, Nancy, no. Gail wants to say no.
The market is pushing...
Gail King, you're a king.
There are boundaries being pushed right now. Good morning, Cody. From buying homes with friends to moving in with family, the numbers show that splitting home ownership is on the rise, and some even think it could be the new norm. But
No.
before you go in on a mortgage with your bestie or start packing for mom and dad's, there are a few things to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I might stay after you leave.
Gilbert Nantechi and Kwame Nkrumah.
Kwame Nkrumah.
City house, home. They watch sports together in the living room.
I think the Bucks gonna do their thing this year, man.
Share an office when working remote.
I have availability at 12 p.m. today.
And split chores. But they aren't just friends and roommates, they're co-owners of this house. And they're part of a growing trend among millennials and Gen Z as breaking into the housing market has become more difficult.
You're both under 30 and you have a house. That is a pretty big thing to do these days.
Correct. But it felt really good doing it with a partner. We mitigated a lot of risk.
An industry survey from earlier this
Okay,
year.
these guys might be gay. They might be. It's debatable because they wear nice they wear nice clothes. They have a very soft way of speaking. They wear nice cologne. And I admit, listen, men are looks maxing these days. Men are looking finer than ever. Men are primping and themselves. They're looking nice. But these guys, they just look really well put together, and their way of sitting with the way that the other one looks at the other one when he's talking. You know how you can just feel it in the air when you're like, oh shit, maybe.
Americans have co-purchased a home with someone other than a romantic partner.
15%.
48% say they would consider it.
Do you think you could have been homeowners if you didn't buy a place together?
The answer is a hard no. I would not be a homeowner in 2024 had we not co-bought.
Niles Lichtenstein launched the company Nesmint last year to help simplify the co-buying process.
Is this what it takes to buy a house these days?
Yes. For the past 50 years, property prices have way outpaced wage growth, and that's created this incredibly large gap.
I'm curious why that is.
Split major expenses with before, like rent or a vacation. Create a joint bank account with 3 to 6 months of expenses. And finally, hire a lawyer or use a service like Nesmint or CoBuy to write an agreement that will help mitigate risks, such as a job loss, unplanned expenses, or one of the owners deciding to sell.
Of course.
Your incomes together, share some of the risk together, be smart about it along the way, and buy your first home.
It's not just co-ownership growing in popularity. Multi-generational homes with at least 2 adult generations under one roof are also on the rise. Since a study analyzed by CBS News found a 57% increase of 25 to 34-year-olds living with their parents.
Of course. Why wouldn't there be?
Pennsylvania
Yeah, things are just getting unaffordable, guys. Housing market-wise, it's looking a little grim, and I don't know why that is. There's just less money for a lot of people. Listen. And also there's an argument to be made that a lot of people don't work nearly as hard as they did in the olden days. Sure, maybe there's more people on TikTok using food stamps. I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. I don't know though. Whatever.
Contractor Kevin Kennedy has seen it firsthand and says older Americans are taking advantage of the benefits too. Since the pandemic, more than half of his jobs are home conversions to accommodate multi-generational families.
It's a frenzy of people trying to buy homes, so this is another alternative.
And Kennedy knows the benefits.
So what's for dinner?
Pasta, your favorite.
He built this addition to his house for his in-laws.
Oh my
They're
God.
not paying the big taxes on their house. They're not paying any big insurance. We consolidated a lot of that into this house.
But he says by far the best benefit is getting 3 generations under one roof.
That's a
Best thing
nightmare.
was putting a smile on my mother and father-in-law's face when they walked in for the first time and saw their house.
No. I'm sorry.
More people, though,
No.
even close friends and family, can mean more stress if you do not lay out some guidelines. Experts say make sure to define clear responsibilities from the outset, including financial ones, and also emphasize the importance of respecting each other's privacy and setting those boundaries.
Are you convinced?
No.
Okay.
I could see...
Gail King is noticing.
Everybody could have their own section. But I just think with friends, I just think that gets very dicey.
But if you can vacation together, spend time together, you can live together and make money together. Money is the motivator, Gil.
But
than having a
vacationing
home,
together, Nate,
roof
there's a
over there.
beginning and an end to that. If you're living together, it's just not for me. But if it works for other people, I say great.
And the folks that we interviewed, they really liked it. I mean, it's like being roommates. You have a lot more responsibilities, and
roommates, we did that in college, Nancy.
Yeah, guys. Get ready to go back to college.
Well, that's I do think.
But you can buy, rent it out, and then buy again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then build your portfolio.
And someone's always going to get that package off the porch.
Yep. Someone's going to pull the package off the porch. You're going to get robbed, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Maybe he's warning you of something that you really got to be worried about. I don't know. You need to be worried about the fact that there's no housing for you anymore. If you're not living in a house right now, guess what? All the homes, they just got bulldozed. That's essentially what we're telling you, is there was a nuke that destroyed every remaining available house, and you're done. Now you're going to live on the streets, and guess what? Zora Mamdani is going to find you housing. You know what I mean? You're going to live in a New York hovel. What is it called? You're going to live in one of those condominiums where they like rent out an entire apartment building and they give it to people that's like Section 8 housing. Yeah, we'll do that. And then it'll be a beautiful, brave new world that we live in. And I can't wait for it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the next section. We got the rapid fire section of today's headlines. We got a lot of shit that's been happening. For example, North Korea, they launched a ballistic missile. It's causing a lot of regional tensions, if that's a mild way to put it. North Korea has reportedly fired ballistic missiles into the sea between the Korean Peninsula and Japan. The move was condemned by neighbors and escalating security concerns in East Asia. This is not the first time they've done it. It's whatever, they as long as it's not nuclear and they're not detonating it over a city, let little Rocket Man have fun. Alex Vindman, interesting last name, announces a U.S. Senate run in Florida. Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, known for testifying in former President Donald Trump's first impeachment, has launched a Democratic bid for the United States Senate in Florida. His campaign positions him as a high-profile challenger to the Republican incumbents and adds a notable target to the seat for Democrats in the competitive 2026 cycle. Absolutely. Oh, shoot. This is another interesting one that I saw come across my screen. France is set to ban social media for kids under 15. Bold move. And by the way, this might be coming to the United States before Trump is out of office. I think, possibly.
TikTok is warning of bugs, slower load times, or timeout requests after a data center power outage. Many users raised concern about possible censorship after last week's deal to sell TikTok's U.S. operations.
Who cares?
Now the company says the outage was caused by a technical glitch and has been resolved.
Who cares? If you get your news from TikTok, you don't deserve it.
And France is set to become one of the first European countries to ban social media for children under 15. French Parliament voted overwhelmingly in favor of the new law last night. President Emmanuel Macron is celebrating the vote on social media, saying the ban is, quote, what scientists are advocating. Now, other European countries could follow.
Scientists are also advocating that your wife go ahead and get her surgery scars taken a look at. Listen, I'm just saying transition surgeries, they have a rate of rupture that is noticeable, especially when you get into the later 60s. And I'm just saying, if you want her to, be 100%, you got to make sure that she's going in for her checkups.
Suit. ABC's foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Burridge has the details. Hi, Tom. So what do we know about this vote?
Yeah, so it's gone through the lower house, Diane. It has to go to the French Senate, but the French government is basically saying this whole process will be sped up to get this into law in time for September and the new school year. And clearly this is a massive, massive issue for people right across this country and right around the world, all of us parents who are thinking about when our children can actually start to use social media. Well, the French government is effectively taking part of that decision out of our hands and saying that children under the age of 15 will not be allowed to use social media. There'll be mandatory age verification basically will come into effect. It follows Australia, and other European governments are also thinking about doing something similar. Look, the French President Emmanuel Macron has made this reform of social media a bit of a personal crusade, and not only to protect children, because there's also another law going through the French Parliament to ban usage of all cell phones in French high schools and the grounds of French high schools, but also the French government is looking to crack down on fake news online and also hate speech. Now, this is one area of regulation, the latter, that puts European governments at odds with the Trump administration.
What is hate speech?
Accused these governments of censorship in terms of cracking down on what it says is free speech, but European governments push back very strongly against that, and they say this is about protecting democracy in Europe and also basically snuffing out
whatever.
Foreign interference in elections.
Yes, essentially, whatever. France, if you do this, you're doing probably a service to your children. They will not be grateful, I promise you. Get ready for backlash. Whatever. EU and India. The mother of all deals has advanced amid the US pushback. The European Union and India are advancing the landmark free trade agreement, described as one of the largest ever, aiming to slash tariffs across goods and strengthen economic ties. Pact is also offering reflecting broader global trade realignments as partnerships evolve amid the US trade policies. Washington has publicly criticized the deal, arguing that it may indirectly finance Russia's war in the Ukraine via energy trade flows. Interesting. The Labour Party internal protests in the UK politics. In the UK, over 50 Labour MPs have protested against the party leadership, blocking Sir Keir Starmer ally Andy Burnham from standing in a by-election, exposing internal tensions within the ruling party. This could have implications for the party unity ahead of the future elections coming up. I haven't been interested in your election since you guys kicked out the only good fella, Boris Johnson. I don't care if you think he has authoritarian leanings. I like him. He was goofy, and he was the former mayor of London. He was the best. It's like if we had the Toronto mayor be like a king of Canada. I'm just kidding. U.S. immigration enforcement controversy is also intensifying across the United States. The federal fallout from the immigration enforcement issues, especially the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy, has caused a lot of situations to develop across capitals, state capitals, in the Capitol. Republicans are beginning to question aspects of DHS policy. Protests and negotiations over DHS funding risks are disrupting major government spending bills. Interesting. EU has also approved the EU approval of Russian gas import ban has marked a strategic shift. The European Union member states have given a final approval to a ban on Russian gas imports by late 2027, a decisive step towards aiming to reduce the dependency on Russian energy. Interesting. That's probably why they blew up Nord 2, excuse me. Amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, Trump is also threatening higher tariffs on South Korea. Donald Trump has announced new tariffs on South Korea imports, including autos and pharmaceuticals, due to the delays in the treaty ratifications by Seoul's legislature. Continuing also conflict in the Eastern Europe. Ukraine strikes. The war in Ukraine remains active. Russia forces continue to attack, including strikes in eastern regions, while diplomatic engagements continue with mixed signals. Russia's envoy has controversially suggested Ukraine might withdraw from its eastern Donbass region as part of peace efforts. Do it. It's not much to lose, honestly. Look up pictures of it. You'll go, fuck it. The stance on Kyiv is strongly rejected. Honduras has a brand new president sworn in after a tight election. Nasri Asfura was sworn in as the president of Honduras with a razor-thin win in the election, and with contested results, of course. His presidency is started under political and social strain, with promises to tackle crime and economic issues while navigating congressional divisions. Of course, he sounds like he's going to do a great job. Finally, with our last headline, we'll cover, what's it called? The Supreme Court. Yay, they're preparing for major political cases. The United States Supreme Court is set to hear several high-stakes cases that could strongly influence Donald Trump's executive authority on citizenship, trade, and the Federal Reserve actions. I mean, we'll see where all of them land. But, in the meantime, let's cover our final story, and I will excuse all of you. I know that you're delighted. I am too. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get to it. We're going to talk about Canada's unaffordability, the mismanaged healthcare system, and the stagnation in their economy, as a recent study has found that many in British Columbia have borrowed money from creditors to pay for groceries. It's no secret, guys. Anyone checking their bank account, Canada is facing a massive affordability crunch. We aren't just talking about gas prices anymore. It's a perfect storm of all of the sky-high mortgage rates. The housing market feels out of reach for an entire generation. The grocery aisles, the rental offices, Canadians are feeling the squeeze as wages are struggling to keep up with the pace of the sheer cost of existing. Let's go ahead and let's review this clip from CBC British Columbia.
Vancouver is a very difficult place to live, unfortunately. It's beautiful. It's very pricey.
For the price of food, the price of all the other things.
For years, housing, food, and transportation costs have pushed people on the West Coast to their limit.
I moved to Dawson Creek because of it.
Some people, if something happened tomorrow and it costs $300, $500, that's it. They're kind of screwed. They don't know if they put food on the table or light electricity in the apartment.
Based on a single-family household, it can cost up to $4,900 a month to live in Vancouver. Even with a living wage of $4,700 factored in, that's a nearly $200 shortfall. Debt and financial counselors are now warning that more people are using credit cards to make ends meet.
Well, it's our number one reason. It's almost 30% of people. It's that the cost of living is why they're seeing us to file either a bankruptcy or a proposal just to get things back under control again.
According to the latest BC Consumer Debt Study, using credit for essential costs was the top reported cause of debt in 2025. Respondents were a sample of consumers who made a formal insolvency filing in BC. Credit cards were the main type of problem debt.
And that's worrisome because at some point people will hit that crisis point where there's no more room on that credit card, they don't know how to buy groceries, and the collection agencies are knocking down their door.
Yeah, people are buying DoorDash with Kalshi. It's Klarna, excuse me, not Kalshi. Kalshi is where you can bet on things. The safety net also that they were so proud of is fraying at the edges. Their healthcare system, once the crowning jewel of their national pride, it's buckling under the weight of the mismanagement and the staffing shortages. We're seeing record long waiting times in the ER and the growing doctor deficiency. This means millions without primary care. It's a systemic backlog. Many people are worried that the current model cannot survive without radical floor-to-ceiling renovation.
Financial pressure can cause anxiety, leaving many to wait to seek help.
But by the time people come through our door, they do have this overwhelming sense of despair.
There are solutions
like
debt consolidation programs and getting a second set of eyes on your budget to pinpoint potential savings. Some areas of Metro Vancouver have also started to see housing costs come down over the past year, leaving hope of affordability on the horizon.
Do you know why the housing costs are going down? Because everyone is leaving. That is why housing costs are going down, because no one wants to live there currently. You have Canadians making videos that are like 15 reasons to leave Canada now and forever.
Canada used to be the dream destination for millions around the world. Now, thousands are quietly leaving. A record 120,000 Canadians left last year, the most ever recorded. And it's not just retirees or students that are leaving, it's skilled, working-age Canadians taking their talent and capital elsewhere. And here at Blueprint, we've helped a lot of people plan out their move abroad, and I've heard every reason you can imagine for why they decided to leave. So in this video, let's go over the most common reasons to the least common. Starting with number one, which is the housing crisis and the soaring cost of living.
Obviously.
I just talked to a couple of students who said, it just feels like so much is out of reach at this point. For example, saying something like just being able to afford a house doesn't seem like something that they could do.
There's a housing crisis right now, and a lot of people can't really afford the necessities.
Because I don't want to be homeless again. Every time I come to Nova Scotia, I become homeless.
Now, it's no secret that housing costs have exploded across Canada. The average rent for a two-bedroom apartment has jumped over 27% since 2019, with cities like Montreal up 70% and Vancouver nearing $3,200 a month. Things like groceries, gas, and childcare costs have all surged, pushing household budgets to the limit. And according to Stats Canada, nearly half of Canadians are deeply worried about housing affordability, and for many, the dream of owning a home is completely dead. And it's about being able to even stay in the country at all. This growing financial pressure is the number one reason I hear by far why Canadians are packing up and leaving.
Well, your country's
It's really hard to
stagnated.
build wealth when rent takes up half your income. Next reason is better career opportunities. Many Canadians are realizing that opportunity and pay are often stronger outside of the country. For example,
More
a
often than
software
not.
engineer in Toronto earns about $106,000 per year on average, and the same role in San Francisco pays around $222,000 US.
And that's
With the high
San
taxes
Fran.
and the national debt. Canada's top marginal tax rate now exceeds 53% in provinces like Ontario and BC, among the highest in the developed.
Okay, let me read their net taxes that you have to pay as a Canadian citizen. You ready? In let's go with the lowest personal tax rate for the Canadian, well, one Canadian province. I believe it's NU. I don't know what Canada, NU. Nunavut, excuse me, Nunavut. The lowest cost is for the province of Nunavut for your personal tax rate, and it is 44.5% of your income. The highest is, I believe, Newfoundland or something like that, and NL, and it is 54.8% of your income is taken by the federal government.
World. But what worries many Canadians and myself even more is how those taxes are being used. Government debt has climbed to a staggering $96,000 per person.
They're pissing it away.
And that's been up sharply since the pandemic.
They're pissing it away and they're turning it into beer.
To me, this is a huge concern because as debt rises, so do interest costs. Canada now spends tens of billions of dollars each year just on debt interest payments alone. Money that could have gone towards healthcare, housing, or tax relief. And with higher interest rates in recent years, that burden keeps growing. Now, if this debt continues on this path, Canada could eventually face some serious financial strain. Next reason is weather. The harsh winters, the short summers, and the months of gray skies make Canada a very tough place for anyone who craves warmth or outdoor living.
That's why I've been thinking about leaving Minnesota for the longest time, but, you know, just like Vin Diesel, family.
And for many Canadians, it's not only about the weather, it's about the lifestyle that weather limits. So if you love the beach, your options here are very limited and seasonal.
I love
best.
the bitches.
For people who thrive on sunshine, being able to run, swim, or just sit outside every day can feel like freedom to them. As someone who grows up in Alberta where you barely get to see the sun during the winter, that could deeply affect people that really crave the sun. So after years of scraping ice off of windshields and navigating treacherous roads to go into work and waiting for summer to finally arrive, it's no wonder many Canadians start dreaming of a life where the good weather never ends.
Like in Fargo, North Dakota, right? Like, or let's try, what's another good spot? Des Moines, Iowa, or Duluth, Minnesota. They move somewhere deep south where the weather's always nice.
The reason I see is remote work and global lifestyle upgrades. Now, the rise of remote work has opened the door for Canadians to live better for less. If you could earn in Canadian or US dollars while living in places like Mexico or Thailand, that could easily double or triple your quality of life. Now, according to Numbeo, the cost of living in places like Playa del Carmen in Mexico or Chiang Mai in Thailand is about 60% lower than in Toronto. Then in healthcare struggles. Now, Canada's universal healthcare is often touted as a national pride point, but it's also becoming one of the biggest frustrations. Wait times for family doctors, specialists, and even basic procedures have reached record highs. Canadians now wait an average of 27.7 weeks between seeing a general practitioner.
27.7 weeks in days. How many? That is 193 days. And if you bring this up to somebody from America where they're like, no, that's not real, that's not true. When you go, yeah, you got to wait actually months to see a doctor, people will go and look at you in your face and they'll go, that's not true, that's right-wing American propaganda. This is from Canadians themselves, that they're waiting 193 days to see a doctor.
And receiving treatment. The longest ever recorded. That's over half a year, which is insane. Now, on top of that, the World Index of Healthcare Innovation ranks...
And then people will tell you that's not true. People will tell you that that is just flat out not true. I've had a conversation as of recent with someone where I made the point, hey, yeah, you can go to Canada if you want to get a lump checked out. However, you're going to have to wait until that lump is a knob and it's like the size of a grapefruit versus a grape. You know what I mean? At that point, that's when Canadians will be like, all right, you've waited long enough. Let's take a good look at that. Ooh, that shit looks pretty bad. You should have come in earlier. I was trying to.
Is Canada only 18th out of 32 developed countries for overall healthcare performance. So we're in the bottom half for the developed countries. Many Canadians with the means to do so are now looking abroad for faster, more efficient private care.
Private care, like in China, where you can pay to have an innocent, like, college-age student snatched off the streets. They'll steal his liver for you. They will. In China, they do that shit. They'll nab people off the streets. Don't think they don't do it here. They just they haven't created webs of it. They haven't created like entire networks of it in particular states. I'm sure like in California, New York, and whatnot. But you have to pay specialists if you're like from Utah and you need a new heart and you need to have someone snatched off the streets of Salt Lake. You know what I mean? You have to go with a specialist. But over in China, you could be in the Beizhong district of Kengjingbi, and they'll have like a business probably on a storefront corner that you can go to called King Zhao's nab 'em up business. That's what it is over there.
The next big reason is to stretch their retirement savings. More Canadians are realizing their CPP and OAS and retirement savings can go much further abroad. In Canada, rising costs are definitely eating away at their fixed incomes, but in countries with lower living costs and affordable private healthcare, retirees can often greatly increase their quality of life on the same budget.
Hell yeah.
Many destinations also have favorable tax treaties with Canada, meaning CPP and OAS payments can be received abroad, sometimes with little or no local tax. And
that is a scam waiting to happen. I'm sorry to say it, Canada, you've got to get that shit under control. You're getting money funneled out of your country.
Next is crime and safety concerns. Now, more Canadians are feeling uneasy about safety in their own neighborhoods. There's been a rise in break-ins, car thefts, and increasing homelessness, which have...
What is this? Minneapolis?
become more and more concerning in many cities. There's also drug use and addiction issues, which have made many urban centers feel way less secure, especially for families. And while Canada remains a safe country by global standards, the growing sense of disorder, from property crime to open drug use, has really changed how some people feel about where they live.
Because a lot of people don't realize it's optional for your society to be like that. People will tell you, you go to any country, you see poverty everywhere. Not true. You go to major capital cities, like in Japan, the streets are clean, the poverty is limited. The population, there's little girls that are walking around the train stations, you know what I mean? And there's a degree of safety, there's a degree of cultural trust. Yes, absolutely, there's still kidnappings, there's still fucked shit. But it's not nearly as common as it is in Western developed nations where, open drug use is it's tolerated to some extent. You know what I mean? You won't have a civil obedience officer coming up to you like in China if your eyes are a little bloodshot.
For those seeking peace of mind, quieter streets, and a stronger sense of safety, that feeling alone can be reason enough to start fresh somewhere else. To me,
they'll go live in Dubai.
Extremely safe in Canada, I have noticed a big decline in recent years. Next is family and relationships abroad. Many Canadians leave to simply join a spouse or partner overseas, or to raise children closer to their extended families. Others move back to, say, a partner's home country after years in Canada, finding comfort in familiar culture and family-supported networks. Many also find that dating prospects feel better abroad, where social dynamics or lifestyle values align more closely with what they're looking for.
Lifestyle values.
With more cross-border relationships and international families than ever, though, personal ties are becoming one of the strongest motivators to relocate.
There you go, man. I mean, I'll leave this in the description if you guys really feel like checking it out, because it is an interesting video, and I think every American who glazes Canada needs to hear it. They need to have the glasses torn off, you know, because I hate when people say things that have been true in the past, where Canada, admittedly, it did have a lot of things over America that made us jealous. However, when it comes to their abundance, when it comes to the lie around them being a Norway-esque, beautiful fantasy for a lot of people that a lot of people would love to live in eventually, it's not there. And unfortunately, the substance that a lot of people want it's not available to them there. And it's going to break a lot of hearts, but unfortunately, those hearts need to be broken. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to today's broadcast. I hope you had fun. I had a fun time. I hope that you enjoyed it. I cannot wait for Wednesday's broadcast tomorrow. We got the rest of the week to ride out. And then Monday through Friday next week, as per the usual. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I will join you in tomorrow's broadcast. In the meantime, this has been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.